Hi friends, welcome to Up-ta-Q.A.M.P. This is our first episode of Time to Eat. Today we're going to be making some French toast using some Texas toast and some eggs that I had collected throughout the summer. These eggs are here from, in this bucket all the way up to here. This is a food grade bucket. You can see the seals and stuff around it. And as you can see, this bucket is full. This is January to March of 2021. I have another bucket that's March, April to late fall. Of course, after the sun starts to set down earlier in the night, then the chickens tend to come to a stop. They really don't lay much of anything. I probably get a couple, 3 eggs a day out of 20 hens. So I don't have heaters. I live in New England. So, you know, and special lighting. Electricity is going up 88% this month in January. We were already told by our electric company. So, you know, it was already high to begin with. And now they're talking another 88%. I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's even higher in some other parts of the country. In Texas, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we're not going to play politics, religion, or any of that. We're going to talk about food, how you can save money, how to feed your family for a minimal dollar. I did a lot of my shopping at discount warehouses. You know, I'm one of those guys that you know, they have an expiration date on there, but expiration date is only good for the company and good for the store shelves. It doesn't necessarily mean that the food goes bad on that date. It just doesn't mean that. You know, that's just protection for them. Most of your canned items, most of your jarred items last for years on a shelf. You know, as long as you keep them out of sunlight, proper storage, don't stack them, keep them dry, because the minute you start seeing the lids and stuff start to rust, then you know you got issues. A lot of your houses down south, I had this problem down south, the moisture was a really bad thing, so you really have to have a really cool, dry place and probably a humidifier in order to, you know, keep it going. But we're going to show you how to do canning here. We're going to show you the reasons I do canning, because you can buy a bag of beans, make 6 quarts of beans with a little onion, a little pork, and you don't necessarily have to cook it all up at one time. But I like the canners because, you know, 90 minutes those beans are done. There's no pre-soaking, there's no, you know, long-term waiting on it. And you stick them on your shelf. You open up 1 jar, you and your family eat, and then you got 6 more jars you can stick off into the shelf for, you know, for another day. You can, each one of these jars, you can open it up, add a cup of rice to it, and you can feed 4 or 6 people, depending on what you're doing. So that was the kind of the whole idea of this this thing here. And a little bit of this salt on here from the lime. There we go. Anyways, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to use Dutch ovens and crock pots and just various types of recipes that you can come up with. Now, you can do a lot of your shopping at the Dollar Tree. I did a lot of mine as far as condiments and stuff. Of course, then the items were $1, now they're $1.25. They just went up. Dollar store, I don't know why they ever called it dollar store. I never found anything in a dollar store that was $1. And that's been pretty much, you know, my entire life. I've never seen it. So I don't know where they came up with it. But the Dollar Tree did maintain it, but because of the economy, the shipping, the tracking, you know, the lost labor, and blah, 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 you know, the routine, everybody's in the same boat. They had to go up 25 cents per item, which is still a pretty good deal, because even in a regular store, a bag of beans is $2.50, where you can get, you know, 5 or 6 different kinds of beans at the Dollar Tree. You can get your canned tomatoes and things like that for $1, which, you know, $1.25, which at your other store is $1.89 or $2.30, you know, give or take, depending on the size. I usually go to a bulk warehouse and I buy all my cans of tomatoes and things like that. But I do a lot of gardening too, so we usually have a lot of fresh vegetables hanging around, and I like to can it. There's no sense in letting it go to waste. So today we're going to talk about these eggs. I'm going to take a moment, bring you in, let you take a look at what's inside, how it works, and I'm going to explain Mrs. Wage's lime. This is Mrs. Wage's pickling lime. I had seen online that if I'd taken all my fresh eggs from my chickens and stuck them in a 5-gallon pail with this particular kind of lime, that they could last between 1 and 2 years. This is a 5-gallon food grade bucket. Let me take my glasses off here. And as you can see, I'm going to take the top off. It almost glasses over. You can see it's almost like an ice formed on top. See how that just kind of pushes apart, and inside, their eggs are all filled up to the top. Now, supposedly these eggs are, perfectly preserved and can be good for up to 2 years. Well, we're going to find out today. So, I've already taken 6 eggs out of here, and I've pre-washed them just to make sure that, I don't want all that lime and stuff on them when I crack them open. And we're going to see if this actually works. If you have chickens, once they lay them, and you have clean eggs, make sure they're not muddy and stuff. Do not wash them, because each chicken, when they lay an egg, they put a coating of calcium and some other stuff over the top of the egg. So the minute you wash them, they start to break down. So as long as the eggs are clean and they haven't, got poop or mud or anything on them, then you go ahead and just drop them in here. Start out with a little bit of water, and you add a mix of about a cup of this pickling lime right here, and stir it really well, and just start dropping your eggs in. And as your eggs get closer to the top of the water, you add a little more pickling limes, add some more water, and just keep on stacking them. I have no idea how many eggs are in there. That's a 5-gallon bucket. So I've got actually 2 of them, but that one's from January to March. And I've got another one up till fall. That's a later season. So we're going to check this out and see how well these eggs, if they are actually fresh, can make it. And if so, we'll go from there. And then we're going to make ourselves French toast. And I'll show you how I do it so that I get that egg inside my bread. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to crack these eggs open and let's see how well they are. Well, first off, I think I need a little something out of my refrigerator. You are sitting on my refrigerator, by the way, because I have a very small place. Let's see. I need a little bit of, just a tad drop of milk. Not a lot. Just a couple drops, because once I start mixing the eggs in, I want it to be able to soak into the bread. If the egg is too thick, it just doesn't make it. So I add a little milk. So anyways, here we go. Let's crack these eggs open and let's check them out and see what we're dealing with here. So I've got me a thing here. Crack this open. Wow. All right. Let me bring that up close. This is almost a year old. Look at the color on that. As if it was made yesterday. I don't know if most of you know about how eggs work. But when they're really bright orange, they're a fresh egg from the hatchery or the farm or whatever you want to get it. Now, when you buy them in the store, they're already pre-washed. They've been sitting for like forever and a decade. And, we just kind of live in that realm. They get lighter in color, where they're almost a yellow instead of an orange. And the more yellow they are, the older the egg is. So, just to show you that those are almost a year old in here, and they're still orange. And it smells good. So, let's see what the rest of them have to offer. So that one's okay. So we're going to pour that right in here. crack us another one. That one had a tough shell. Nice orange color. Perfect. So far, so good. 2 out of 2. 3 out of 3. Nice color. 4 out of 4. They had some good shells this year. 5 out of 5. Nice, beautiful orange. Nice looking yolk. All right. That's 6 out of 6, folks. So far, we're on a roll. Give me just a minute. I'm going to get a towel here. Wash my hands. All right. That's been sliced and diced, so you didn't have to wait and watch for me. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Now, I do have jars of olive oil. You can buy them at discount stores and stuff as well. Do not be scared of olive oil. If the expiration date on it says certain time, I can tell you right now that that's just for manufacturing. It was said back in the day that they found an old urn with olive oil in it in Jerusalem. It was almost 2,000 years old, and it was just as good as the day it was made. Today I'm going to be using a cooking spray. I picked it up for $1.67 a can. So I grabbed a couple cans of this, although I do have different jars of stuff. So I'm going to just spray that on here. Just get her warmed up. I've got a little bit of milk in here. I've got 6 eggs. Now I'm going to add some nutmeg. Put in whatever your flavor is, however much you like. I'd say probably close to about a quarter of a teaspoon, because this stuff's pretty strong. And then this one here is a little bit of ground cinnamon. Same thing, probably about a quarter teaspoon. And we're going to give this a little whip. Get the eggs all mixed up really nice. Nice bright yellow color. Let me bring that over here so you can all see. Nice bright yellow color. So those eggs, I'm going to say, are working. Almost a year old. And they've maintained their color. There's no smell. The shells are fantastic. Look at that. Oh, wow. That is a nice bright yellow. Awesome. Just stick that there for now. Let's open this bread up. Now, you can use several different breads. A lot of times I'll use a Texas toast, or I'll use a French bread. You can usually get the French bread at the store for 99 cents. And it doesn't matter because you're going to soak it anyways. So if it's a little on the hard side, it's not a big deal. In fact, I like the French bread because it makes a really nice color, but they're much smaller slices. And I've had to learn how to do all this. Although I've always cooked most of my life, but my wife passed away over 5 years ago, and I got a little 12-year-old daughter here at the house who likes to eat. Don't you, Solana? Yep. Yeah. So I had to find ways in order to stay home, save money, and do what I had to do. Okay, so we're going to roll that around in there and let that drip dry a little bit. We'll put that on there, and we're going to make us a second one. Just dip it in here really good. Let it sit. And then what I normally do is, as it sits on the grill, let's do this. I have a little ladle right here, and what I do is I just keep pouring it onto the top of the bread and just let it keep soaking in. So what happens is as that soaks in, turn this up a little higher. It's different with each pan. As it soaks into that bread, it cooks the egg inside the bread instead of just on the outside, and then you cut it open and it's just a piece of bread on the inside covered with some egg. So I usually pour, that's why I add the milk a little bit, so that it soaks into that. And I got some scrambled eggs going on over here. It's alright. We like scrambled eggs. Pull this off. Ladle full, just enough to try to get it to soak into that bread. You can see it as it drops down in there. This one's having a little difficulty. I probably should have soaked it a little longer. Of course, the longer you soak it, the longer it stays in there. But as you can see, it's slowly sinking in there. So when this is all done, you cut that open, and you're going to have all kinds of egg inside the bread, not just covered on the outside. Now here, what we like to do is, you can get your own different flavors of maple syrup. Used to be Aunt Jemima and stuff like that. I think it's called Mill Brothers now or something, due to stuff. But because I'm in New England, and most of you don't know this, but in New England, this is where maple syrup is made. It's not made anywhere else in the country. It's usually made in Canada, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, and I have several different companies. I'm going to go through other companies, and I'll put a listing on probably one of the other videos I'm going to show you with the different types of syrups that you can order from these other companies that are freshly made, cooked right here in the States, and it's not fake. Where your General Mills, maybe 1% of it's actually maple syrup, the rest is all preservatives and flavoring and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let me put a little more on here. I'm going to do this. That's starting to soak into that one now. This one's been taking it quite well. There we go. Oh yeah, that's looking good. And I'm going to grab my maple syrup here. Like I said, there's many different ones. This one here is made in Vermont, and it's got a name on there. This says pure maple syrup butternut Mountain Farm out of Vermont. So this is amber color, is rich in taste, is a grade A. Now we do have the other ones, General Mills, which is this one here, which used to be your Aunt Jemima, which became a problem for some reason. I don't know. But this is what I'm going to be using today. So we're going to put that right there. And then we're going to, I think we're just about ready to flip these. So let's do that. Still got a little egg on there. Let's see if we can't get that to drop down into that bread. There we go. looks good. Flip that. They smell awesome. That cinnamon and ground nutmeg. It's just a really good thing. But anyways, if you ever try this egg thing, I'm hoping it works. We're going to find out here in a minute. Like I said, these are almost a year old. January to March. So chances are, you know, we'll say 8 months, 9 months. And as you can see, we're getting a nice golden brown over here. And I'll put it on a plate, which I've got set right off to the side here. I'm going to put it on a plate when it's done. And then I'll bring it over and I will show it to you. We'll make it all pretty. And now also you can see that the bread is rising because the egg is cooking on the inside. So it's slowly coming up. Even though it's Texas toast and it's already a thick bread, you can see the difference once it starts to raise. Like for instance, this one is finally raising. It wasn't taking it very well. I should have soaked it a little longer. If you soak it, get it really wet, and then put it down, and then keep doing that, you'll have a thick egg on the inside. And it saves you from having to cook 2 or 3. Now those 6 eggs, they cost me a regular chicken feed. But at the end, I've got 10 roosters out there at the same time because I incubate my own eggs, make my own chickens. And those we're going to be doing some special meals with. They're about ready to put in a freezer or a can or make soups or chicken salads, whatever it may be. So these are coming along nicely. Look at that. Yep. Very nice. All right. Just a little longer on that. So here at Time to Eat, we want to be able to try to come up with ways to be able to make a meal that's inexpensive for you. Something that tastes really good, but at the same time doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. We eat quite well. I only go to the market once a month. Usually it's bread and milk, even though I have dried milk here, bags and bags of it, and I also have the ability to make my own yeast breads and white breads, wheat breads. But I'll save those for a rainy day. So while the market is still running, I'll continue to just go buy it. But and once it doesn't, then I'll be able to make my own for some time. So anyways, these looking really, really well. Flip that over one more time just to make sure they get even on both sides. Yeah, there we go. Yep, it's getting spongy. I think we can make that work right there. So let's just stick that on a plate. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to bring a little maple syrup. I have to open this one. Haven't even opened it yet. It's one of those. You got to be 6 or 7 years old in order to open this stuff nowadays. Any type of packaging. The only ones that can get into it are children. All right. Let's try this. There we go. Let's get all that off of there. It's got a little pour spout on here. Ooh, this one's a little bit bigger than normal. Let's see what kind of color we got. That's a nice looking amber color. Alright. Grab my fork, my knife, we're going to cut this in half so we can get a little view on that. Let's see how that comes out. Can we see up in there? See how all that egg is cooked right up inside there? Looks tasty. Looks very tasty. Let's give that a shot. I said, oh yeah, very. Okay, it's official. The eggs are good. Almost a year old, depending on where I'm at, on the bottom or the top. It actually works. So get yourself some pickling lime. You cannot do this with regular store eggs. It will not work. They've been washed. But if you have a friend who has a farm, maybe you have 2 or 3 chickens, you get 3 eggs a day. You only eat a dozen a week. You can drop a dozen in there, and then during the wintertime, you're all set. You don't have to go to the store and buy any. I've got 2 buckets of this, so I pickle eggs and I do all kinds of things. So there's 100 recipes you can use for eggs. Doesn't matter what it is, but they come in handy. So anyways, folks, thanks for coming by. And this is our first episode of Time to Eat. We're going to talk about all the different ways of canning and different types of meals, rice dinners, things of that nature. How to stretch a box of hamburger helper, for instance, or rice or anything like that to be able to get that same, for instance, or rice or anything like that to be able to get that same flavor out of that product. And we'll show you how that's done. But right now, this is still hot, so I'm going to go ahead and eat this. And I wish you all a really great day.